360 from 1 o'clock until 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time throughout the basketball season. We talk all things Utah Valley sports, specifically all things Utah Valley basketball, here on this UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. And I, Brandon Crow, am your host for that hour. We bring you some interviews, some fun segments in between, and discuss all things that we can Utah Valley athletics. Hope you had a fantastic new year. Hopefully you had a safe new year, and you're doing well with those New Year's resolutions. It's about almost a week into it. So day 6 officially of the new year, and cannot believe it's 2020. I mean, it's crazy. It's one of those things that you think about and you see in sci-fi movies, or you read about in books, growing up, and here we are, 2020, and it'll still take me a little while to get into the habit of writing 2020 when I'm writing things down. Still used to finally putting down 2019 correctly without putting in 2018, and now got to switch it up and put 2020 in there. But since it's been a couple weeks, the Utah Valley Athletics Coaches Show on Mondays, it fell pretty close to Christmas, and then it fell pretty close to New Year's the past couple of weeks. So we took a couple weeks off, and now we're back. So going forward, we're going to have some fun new segments, and we're going to have some new things to introduce to you over the next couple of months as we sort things out through the Western Athletic Conference play. Now both the men and the women for the Wolverines are in full swing of conference play. So it'll be good to break things down and to see where the Wolverines will end up for both teams. And right now, both teams sitting pretty well. I know the women had a fantastic weekend, and they went 2-0 to start off conference. They have actually won 4 straight, including the most recent victory was a 62-41 victory against the Roos of Kansas City, and that was at home. And again, that was for their 4th straight victory. And Maria Carvalho scored a career-high 19 points as Utah Valley University won its 4th straight 62-41 over Kansas City on Saturday afternoon in Lockhart Arena. So the Wolverines now improved their overall record to 5-9 and their conference record to 2-0. And they limited the Kansas City Roos to just 25% from the field. So the 41 points allowed were the fewest points by an opponent since the 2017-2018 season for Utah Valley when they held Chicago to 30 points in a victory. Coach Nielsen was very excited, as he should be, for that victory. And he said, the whole year I keep talking about defense. And I feel like we're finally starting to gain that identity. One day prep for a really good scoring and shooting team and holding them to 25% shooting. I'm really proud of our effort and preparation. We're making progress. That was head coach, UVU's head coach, Dan Nielsen. And the Wolverines, fantastic, perfect, 22 for 22 from the charity stripe. And they hit all 14 attempts in the fourth quarter when Kansas City was trying to extend the game. Carvalho was 8 from the line. Alexis Cortez finished with 16 points, making 5 of her 6 attempts from the field. And Jordan Holland had about 9 rebounds, with UVU winning that rebound battle 48-37. So, again, congratulations to Coach Nielsen. Fantastic start to the 2020 season, 2-0 as of right now, with that big victory over Kansas City on Saturday. And both the men and the women only play once this week. And they will both play Seattle. The men will be up in Washington, and the women will be home here in Orem, Utah. And that'll be in the UCCU Center for the women's team on Saturday. That tip-off is scheduled for 2 p.m. Mountain Time when they take on the Red Hawks of Seattle University. So for the men's side of things, they got their conference play started off with a victory as well. And comfortable 94-73 victory in Chicago against Chicago State. And in that game, 5 Wolverines were in double figures. Utah Valley pulled away from Chicago State 94-73 to start their conference play. And it was a good conference win for Coach Matson, his staff, and the guys in the program. to go ahead and get that victory, especially after the Antelope Valley victory at home to finish off the non-conference slate in the end of December. So they started off conference play 1-0 last week, and the Cougars of Chicago State fell to 4-12 on the season and 0-1 in conference play. After that match, Coach Madsen said, "A lot of positive things tonight. We still have room to improve. If you look at the assists to turnovers, we had 20 assists and only 7 turnovers, a ratio of almost 3-1. When we share the ball like that, this team is special. The defense was talking and rotating, and I was happy with how the guys responded. Our guards were sharing the ball and making their teammates better." And for those of you who have been keeping score and who have been keeping track of this Utah Valley program, especially the men's basketball program this year, you know that turnovers have been their bugaboo. And turnovers have been a huge factor as to why they've had their nicks and their bruises and their ups and their downs as far as their record goes. For those of you who have been keeping track, you do know that Utah Valley should not have the losing record that they do, and that they should have a handful of more victories. And so to see them tighten up the screws with their turnovers on Thursday night was a big improvement. And that's going to be a big factor for this team going forward, is to see how they can handle the rock and how they can make sure that they keep that in their own possession, especially down the home stretch and especially in those crunch time final moments of the game. So Utah Valley, they in that Chicago State game, Wolverines went out to an 11-1 lead over the first 5 minutes, and they never looked back. Especially Isaiah White leading the crew. Isaiah White had a fantastic game, and he also was helped out by his teammates Kaz and Jardine as well. The Wolverines shot a season-high 62% from the floor, including 53% from downtown, which is something that they've been trying to improve on as well. The Wolverines held the Cougars to 23 of 59 shooting from the floor and just 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. UVU won the battle on the glass 35-31, and the 7 turnovers tied a season low. Kaz and Jardine led the Wolverines with 18 points on 7 of 10 shooting from the field. He hit 4 of 5 from deep to go along with 8 rebounds as well. Brandon Averett also chipped in with 18 points on a pair of threes and a couple of steals. And Isaiah White, he poured in 16 points on his own and added a team-high 9 rebounds, while TJ Washington scored 14 points to go along with his game-high 8 assists. JJ Overton, who has missed a couple of games as of late before conference play with a lingering hand injury that he suffered early in December. I think he's pretty much fully healthy with that right now, and so it was good to see him back on the hardwood to start off conference play. But he was the other Wolverine in double figures with 12 points, and Eman Olojopoki had a pair of blocks as well. So he continues to rank nationally within the top 15 shot blockers in the country. And so when you look at those rankings and to see a Utah Valley Wolverine up there, it's pretty special. So after that, Utah Valley, they traveled to Kansas City to take on the Roos, and that one was a very difficult game. And Utah Valley fell in that one 68-63 on Saturday. So with that victory in Chicago and then the loss on Saturday in Kansas City, Utah Valley, as of right now, as of Monday, January 6th, they sit 1-1 in conference play and right smack dab in the middle of the conference standings. And we'll get into that in just a second. But yeah, the Wolverines, they shot themselves in the foot, just plain and simple, in that first half. The score at halftime was 30-19 in favor of Kansas City. And then the Wolverines exploded in the second half for 44 points to Kansas City's 38. So if the Wolverines start off this game properly, then they easily get a victory. And that's been a little bit of a downfall and a little bit of an Achilles heel for the squad as well, is adding into the turnover margin, something that the Wolverines, again, are trying to tighten the screws on. But the Wolverines, if they can lock down a better start to their games, then they will put themselves in a better situation where they don't have to put on scramble mode in the second half, so to speak, or they don't have to necessarily hit that panic button or that desperation button where they feel like they have to come back and overcome their own deficit. But Utah Valley, we know that what they're capable of, and it's just sometimes it's still very, very early on in the season in as far as conference goes. And so these are things that over the next few weeks I predict will be flushed out. And I think that the Wolverines are going to finally hit their stride when they need to here in conference play, and they're going to get going right at the right moment. And they're going to help propel themselves to be in the best position possible come conference tournament time in Las Vegas. But again, going back to this Kansas City game, just to wrap this up and put a bow on this one. Again, their second half surge. They scored 44 points in that second half to Kansas City's 38, but it was those 19 points early on in that first half to Kansas City's 30 that really put them in that hole. And Coach Madsen said about this game, he said, quote, "We did not come out aggressive, and we dug ourselves a big hole being down 16 in that second half to start off that second half. I was very proud of our guys in the second half, but all in all, we have to be better and take care of the ball. We made some adjustments with what they were doing defensively to battle back, but we need to be better at finishing games. Plain and simple." End quote from Coach Madsen. Cass Jardine, Isaiah White were among the standouts in that game. Again, the Wolverines just shot 19 of 55 from the field, including 21% from beyond the arc. And the Wolverines knocked down 22 of 26 free throws and out-rebounded the Roos 37-34. UVU added 8 steals and 7 blocks, but were hindered by 18 turnovers. So you see on Thursday against Chicago State, Utah Valley limits their turnovers to just single digits, again tying the season low with 7, and then they score twice as much. They don't score twice. They turn the ball over twice as much on Saturday. 18 turnovers. You take away those 18 turnovers and you limit those 18 turnovers even down to 10, and that's enough to put the ball and the points margin in your favor, and it's enough to get that swing back over onto your side. So again, like I mentioned before, it's these turnovers are the bugaboo and have been the bugaboo of this season, and it's something that the Wolverines definitely need to tighten their screws on. Brandon Averett led 5 Wolverines in double figures again, so 2 back-to-back games with 5 Wolverines in double digits. Brandon Averett had 16 points on a pair of threes to go along with 4 rebounds. TJ Washington added 13 points, and Isaiah White chipped in 12 points with a team-high 7 rebounds. Kazan Jardine and Eman Olojopoki added 10 points apiece, and Olojopoki blocked 3 more shots. So now, like we mentioned before with the women's basketball team, they only play 1 game this week, the men. And so they will rest up a little bit as school is back in session today. So good luck out there to all you students starting school back up, and even the teachers getting ready for school to come back. But the Wolverines will try and get their classes situated, get back to being comfortable on campus, get their legs back and their legs fresh before traveling out to Seattle later on this weekend to take on the Red Hawks on Saturday. So as we sit right now on Monday, January 6th, the conference standings are as follows, and we'll dive into this later on in the show a little bit more in depth. Got a great show for you, by the way, as we're on that topic. We're going to hear from assistant coach on the men's basketball team, Coach Jared Jackson, after this. And then Kyle McDonald will make his 2020 debut here on the UVU Coaches Show. Kyle McDonald, the creator of WhackHoopsDigest.com and Whack Hoops Insider and UVU alumnus. And so he has done a fantastic amount of research so far this season, putting together this website specifically for Western Athletic Conference basketball. And so he joins us every week to give us his insights on Utah Valley as well as the overall scope of the Western Athletic Conference. And then we have a great interview with Kazdan Jardine from the men's basketball team. He took some time out of his travel to call us, and we have that for you coming up as well. But again, where Utah Valley sits after the first 2 games of the Western Athletic Conference, they are right smack dab in the middle, about 5th place. UMKC is all alone at the top with a 2-0 record. Then right behind them, tied at 1-0 apiece, is New Mexico State and CSU Bakersfield. Then CBU, California Baptist University, and Utah Valley with Seattle U. All three of those schools tied right in the middle with a 1-1 record. And then rounding out the bottom trio, Grand Canyon and UTRGV with an 0-1 record, and Chicago State at 0-2. But we are just getting started here on the UVU Coaches Show, the first one of 2020. Happy New Year to all. And we'll take a quick break here on ESPN 960, and we'll be right back with assistant coach Jared Jackson after this.
UVU Alumni has gone digital. Download the new UVU Alumni app. It allows you to carry a digital version of your alumni membership card with you at all times. Get discounts at local and national retailers. See what perks your UVU Alumni membership has to offer, and stay current with upcoming alumni events. You can even find former classmates using the app. Download it today.
Hi, this is Tim at Sierra West Jewelers. Sierra West is having its annual sale, 40% off most items in the store, and we have up to 5 years on credit, OAC. Big names, 42 years, only at Sierra West Jewelers.
Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show, presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960. Again, Happy New Year to all of you who are tuning in for the first time. We welcome you. And for those who are returning, we welcome you and say Happy New Year as well. It is now our pleasure to be joined by assistant coach for the men's basketball program at Utah Valley University, Jared Jackson. Coach, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Same to you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Coach, do you have any holiday traditions? Were you able to spend some good quality time with the family over the holidays?
Well, being a basketball coach, it doesn't work the best for holidays, with Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year. But this year, actually, my family and I were able to head back to the East Coast. We went to Orlando, where my in-laws live, and actually my brother and his family live there in Orlando as well. So had a good time with them for a few days, and then right back to it as they get ready for conference.
Well, at least you're able to go back. That's always good, spending some time with family. I know the NCAA has been bouncing around some rule change possibilities. I have no idea when that would take place, if at all. But making it like the Ivy League with a mandatory break during that holiday time. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's a grind, obviously for staff, but also for the student athlete. I mean, a lot of people don't understand what they go through, with class, workouts, weights, travel, games. I mean, it's a lot for young men and young women. And just to be able to get, a week or so off to kind of decompress and spend some time with family, I think it's a great idea. And I think it kind of refuels them for the second part of the year, and we have good conference play coming down the stretch.
Now, Coach, where did the love of basketball come from you?
Honestly, as long as I can remember, I've played. 4 or 5 years old is when I kind of start playing. My dad, he was a really good baseball player. So he wasn't a basketball player, but growing up, my brother and I, we played baseball, basketball, football, soccer. I mean, we played any sport there was. But for me, I think basketball is what I was best at, and just kind of fell in love with it. And as I grew and saw more success with it, it was just something I really wanted to do, and was able to kind of turn into a good high school and college career. And once you're in it that long, you might as well stick with it if you can. So here we are coaching.
Now, Coach, if basketball was not in the picture, what was the next best sport you were at?
I've probably been a baseball guy, and what people don't know, and I'll challenge anyone now if they want to play, I'm pretty good at tennis. I'm a pretty good tennis player. So if someone wants to go out and hit a few, I'd love to do it, man. But yeah, one of those, baseball or possibly tennis.
You know what? I know there are tennis courts right outside the coach's office. I might have to take you up on that.
No question. I'm ready. I got a racket jacket in the house somewhere. I have to find it. And we can once this weather clears up. I don't think we can do it right now, but once this weather clears up, I might take you up on that.
Absolutely. Now, Coach, being from the South, you were able to work with several schools down in Texas. What were some of your favorite experiences in your time down in Texas?
Oh man, I mean, obviously that year at Texas Tech, at the time, the year I spent there with Coach Beard and that staff, it was the best year in school history. I mean, it was unbelievable to see the growth, kind of from our non-conference, actually starting in the summer with our workouts with the players, where we were just trying to make a name for ourselves and put Texas Tech on the map. And we battled in the non-conference and won a tournament out in Connecticut at Mohegan Sun Arena and kind of grabbed the attention of the nation. And then as we got better and better, those crowds started getting bigger. And then I think the turning point was when we went into Allen Fieldhouse and beat Kansas. And I mean, at that point, it was like the world knew, or the nation knew, and we knew internally, okay, we can be really good. And making that Elite Eight run was special. Special. I still talk to some of the players today and some of the staff, and we talk about those memories. So that was unbelievable. And believe it or not, that was my first year in Division I basketball. So my first year, we make a run to the Elite Eight. So that was great experience. And then at Texas Arlington, moving over there with Coach Ogden, special coach. I mean, he's so much fun to be around. The guys love playing for him. And we just had a great group of guys that we were able to make a run to the Sun Belt championship game, which was big time for our staff and program, being our first year there. So great experiences there in Texas, but want to do the same thing out here at Utah Valley. So that's what we're working towards right now.
So speaking of coming out here to Utah Valley with those Texas experiences, what was one thing that you learned as a coach in that first year of Division I that you've carried with you here to Utah Valley?
I think the relationship with the players is big, and I just think the camaraderie and the I guess embracing the grind of kind of trying to build your brand and build your name, and kind of having that underdog label is something had at the Texas schools, and I think we have here at Utah Valley. But I think it's a good thing. It keeps you guys focused. It doesn't let you get complacent or kind of think things will be handed to you. So just trying to bring that here and get our guys to believe that it doesn't matter what other people think or the outside rankings or any of that stuff. It doesn't matter. It can be done. So that's one thing I'm trying to instill in our guys, and hopefully we can get that done here in year one.
Who reached out to you first? Was it Coach Madsen? Was it Jared Sumption? Like what happened there?
Yeah. So it was Coach Madsen. The coach I worked for at Texas Arlington, he was a first-year head coach. The year we moved over to Texas Arlington, that was his first year as a head coach. And obviously this season was Coach Madsen's first year as a head coach. And apparently they went to some sort of conference for first-year head coaches, and they just kind of talked and hit it off, and chips fell into place, and Coach reached out. He reached out to Coach Ogden, and Coach reached out to me and said, hey, is this something you'd be interested in? And from there, I called Coach Madsen, and we did a phone interview, and we FaceTimed, and we talked for a few weeks, and it was a good fit for both sides, and then here we are.
So when did you make your first trip out to Utah? Had you ever been out to Utah before?
Yeah, I had. I served in the military. Some people may not know, but I served in the military, and I was actually stationed up at Hill Air Force Base.
Oh, okay.
From 2010 until 2013. After that, I moved down to Salt Lake City, Utah, and I actually coached at West High School there for about 3.5 years. So I've been in Utah a total about 5 years. So I kind of knew the area, knew the lay of the land, and but then I lived up in Layton and Salt Lake City. So I'd never really been down in Utah County. So we came out, my wife and I, and kind of looked for places. That was in June, I believe, June or July. Kind of came out and looked for some places and met the staff and and did those things, and moved out here officially in early August.
Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure.
I've got a cousin who's in the Army. He was out in Georgia, and he was a paratrooper, and now he's a drill instructor out there.
Big time. Oh yeah, my dad served 20 years. He retired from the Air Force, and then my brother's in his 19th year in the Air Force. So
wow.
for me, yeah, it was just kind of family business. Hey man, you gotta serve your country. So I did 4, and I started coaching while I was in the military, and I felt like I could make a bigger impact through coaching. I could just, kind of saw the influence I could have on young men, and I just felt like that kind of was more of my calling. So I've just kind of gone from there, and here we are.
Why, you mentioned you could have an influence on young men and try to help shape them. Why is that important to you?
Yeah, it's a big deal to me. I played in college. I played Division II basketball back in South Carolina, and I had a really good career, and I played for a coach that I love, and I still talk to him to this day. But when he coached me, he was a younger guy, and he was, I think, just trying to figure out how to coach and what he wanted to do basketball wise. And when I graduated, I had a bad ankle injury late in my senior year, and it took away the possibility for me to play professionally. And I was now in the world, and I didn't have basketball. And that had been my identity. My identity was basketball, and when that was taken away from me, and I was in the real world, it was a really big shock to me, and it was something I struggled with, because I didn't know who else I was outside of basketball. And that's just something I want to, if I can take that away, and let young men not have to deal with that, kind of show them the pitfalls of putting everything into basketball and not having a backup plan and not being prepared for the world after basketball. Those are things I want to help with. And that's not to say that guys can't go on and play professionally. And, I'm not saying that you can't do that, but at some point, the ball stops bouncing, and you have to have an identity, because it's something that young men, and I think young women, they struggle with when you go apply for that job at the bank, and they don't care what your free throw percentage is, or you go apply for whatever the job at whatever location it is. They don't care what your win-loss record was your senior year. It's just those things don't matter. So I just like young people to be prepared for life after basketball and after college.
And I feel like you kind of struck the jackpot with your fellow coaches at Utah Valley, because I feel like the coaches Todd and even Coach Madsen, like, that is one of their primary focuses. So that's a huge core principle for this coaching staff all around, isn't it?
No question. I mean, that's what it is. The biggest thing is when you get that text from guys, 4 or 5 years after they're done playing for you, and they just say, "Thank you, coach, for teaching me about how to manage money, or teaching me what it looks like to be a good husband or a good father." Those are the things that really, in the end, those are the things that really matter. And if you're around Coach Madsen, you're around any of our coaching staff, we're really good people. We're really good people. Yeah, we want to win. We want the awards and all these things, but we want our guys to know how to be good men, good young men when they leave the program, and that's important to us. When I was interviewing for the job, I even interviewed with Coach Phillips and Coach Okeson, and I got a great rapport, great vibe from both of those guys, that they were on the same page as far as that. It's not all about winning and getting the best recruits and all these things. It's more about teaching life lessons and preparing guys for life after basketball.
Excellent stuff. Again, you're listening to the UVU Coaches Show here on ESPN 960. We're talking with men's assistant coach Jared Jackson. Coach, just a couple last questions here. Rough one on Saturday at Kansas City. Kansas City's a tough team. You guys were in it. Eventually fell 68-63, but you were able to get that win in Chicago State a couple days before that. Now you have quite some time to rest up before Seattle U in Washington on Saturday. What's the vibe like right now with the guys, and what are you working on based off of the first 2 conference games you've seen?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's that's our thing. That's our thing. We're not just trying to be average this year. We want to go out here and really compete this year. So, disappointing loss on Saturday. We felt we were prepared. UMKC with their new coaching staff, and they got 11 new players, so they're not the team they have been in the past. Really good game. We got off to a slow start in the first half, but we were really proud of how our guys battled back. Actually took the lead in the second half there, and they just made a few plays down the stretch to win the basketball game. So, some positives to take from that is, our ability to fight back and compete. That's one thing we're really happy about from our guys. So, 1-1 could be a lot worse, so we're fine with where we're at right now. Going into Seattle, there'll be a good team. UMKC actually beat them 2 nights before there in Kansas City, so it'll be another good battle up there in Washington. We'll be prepared. The good thing is we have all week to prepare for them. We kind of prepared for UMKC on just a one-day prep. But the thing is, that full week off will give our guys a few days to kind of get their legs back, get back in the flow, get used to school. We're starting classes back this week, and then we'll really ramp it up probably Wednesday in preparation for Seattle.
Excellent stuff, Coach. Well, we know you're busy. Appreciate you taking the time. Have a good rest of the night with your family, and safe travels over the weekend, but we'll be touching base.
Brandon, thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on, and good luck to you. Happy New Year to you and the family.
Thank you, Coach. Again, that was Assistant Coach Jared Jackson. We'll be right back with more here on the UVU Coaches Show right after this on ESPN 960.
At Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, we believe in supporting our neighbors and the hardworking UVU basketball team. Since our store is perfectly located on University Parkway in Orem, we're ready to play ball with our UVU Wolverines and give them and you a car buying experience unlike any other. Be sure to stop by our store for all your automotive needs, because at Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, we hear you.
Your number one UVU basketball fans, Neil Dastrup Insurance and Auto Owners Insurance is a winning combination. You know texting while driving is dangerous, yet most people admit to doing it anyway. Drivers are 23 times more likely to be involved in a car accident while texting. Know the facts and wait to text. The danger is real and it applies to you. Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. Neil Dastrup Insurance is a proud partner of the UVU men's basketball team.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. It's been a good show so far. We heard from Assistant Coach Jared Jackson. We're going to hear from Kaz and Jardine in a little bit, but now it's our weekly pleasure, the first time of the 2020 side of things on the UVU Coaches Show, to hear from Kyle McDonald from WAC Hoops Digest. Again, you can follow Kyle McDonald on Twitter at Kyle Sports Bias, as well as at WAC Hoops Digest. You can also message Kyle or go to his website, wachoopsdigest.com. Kyle, how are you, my man?
I am good, Brandon. I'm good. Thanks for having me. And it's good to be back. It's been a little bit of a break, but it's good to be back to our regular segment here.
Yeah, we took a break over the holidays, coming back. Last time we spoke, UVU was wrapping up non-conference play, and now here we are, 2 games underneath their belt. And Utah Valley was just a couple points away, just one basket, among other things, away from being 2-0 at the top of the conference. But we'll dive into the WAC a little bit further on in the conversation, Kyle. But so far, based off of the first 2 conference games that you've seen from Utah Valley, what are your overall thoughts?
Honestly, they should be 2-0. Like we can always say if and or but they should be 2-0. They got the win at Chicago State like they should have, in blowout fashion, and scored the second most points of the season, in that win. And then Saturday night, to have a 63-61 lead with maybe a minute left to play. It was just, and they had 3 different possessions to get the lead back. After, and we'll talk about this as the conversation goes on, but after just sheer Hardnett hits that 3-pointer from the top of the key with a hand in his face to give, Kansas City the lead, and that they never relinquished at that point. But, Utah Valley should be 2-0 and rolling into Seattle next Saturday with a lot of confidence. And it was, I'm a little biased towards Utah Valley because I want to, I'm an alumnus there. But on the other side of it, you love seeing good basketball, and Jashir Hardnett stepped up in a huge way for Kansas City on Saturday night, and it was a fun game to watch. And I mean, that's all you can say is Utah Valley should be 2-0, but Kansas City got it done over that final minute, and so Utah Valley sits at 1-1 right now.
One thing that stands out to me, I mean, Coach Madsen brought this up in the post-game comments after the loss on Saturday in Kansas City, but he talked about how they had another slow start, and Utah Valley really shooting themselves in the foot with – this isn't the first time that they've done this. There's been a handful of games so far this season where they haven't come out of the gate properly and they put themselves too far in a ditch. And even if they do have a great second-half comeback, because of that first half that they had, it's just insurmountable. And Coach Madsen said we did not come out aggressive enough, and we dug ourselves a big hole, down 16 in the second half. But obviously they came back to win. But why do you think that the Wolverines continue to have these sluggish starts?
Oh, that's a good question. That's the question of the day. But I don't want to say too much, where it might get me in trouble. My thought is that perhaps they saw, they felt like coming off the Chicago State win, they could waltz into Kansas City, and because Kansas City had played 3 overtimes on Thursday night, they might not have any legs, and so they could just kind of coast and do what they've done before instead of, realizing that this Kansas City team is better than a lot of us thought, at the beginning of the season. So I think it's just it's a mindset thing, perhaps a killer instinct mindset that, we beat Chicago State. Now let's go and do the same thing to Kansas City with that killer instinct mindset where, let's execute, let's play our game, let's do what we're to play defense. And I think that's a little bit of it is because we've noticed that it's been a struggle for Utah Valley to get back-to-back wins this year. I actually don't think that they have back-to-back wins at all this year, if I'm looking at it right. Let me just check right here. I mean, they did with their final non-conference game and then Chicago State, but, the final non-conference game was against a non-Division I opponent. So the struggle to really get back-to-back wins has been a struggle. I mean, when they beat Wyoming in the middle of December, then they go and lose at Long Beach State. They've just got to have a killer instinct night in and night out rather than thinking that they're better on talent alone to beat somebody because it's just not going to happen. And road wins are going to be difficult to come by in the conference. So when you have a 63-61 lead with a minute left, you got to have that mental toughness to finish. And I think, like you said, it starts with the beginning of the game, having that mentality where we're going to do what we do best, instead of waltzing in and thinking, hey, we're just going to cruise. And that leads to, those end of game situations. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of staying focused each game rather than, okay, one game we're going to stay focused, we're going to get a win. The next game we're going to waltz in thinking we're kings of the world because we won one game, and they got to go back to the drawing board and figure out that they have to start games quick because putting themselves in a hole, especially with a short bench, it doesn't work that way.
Again, you're listening to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960. We're listening to Kyle McDonald from WackHoopsDigest.com. Kyle, earlier on this week before the game on Saturday against Kansas City, Utah Valley was getting the way too early bracketology because they were getting a little nod. They were getting a little love from ESPN. They had them projected as the 16 seed, the play-in game against Prairie View A&M. Taking on Gonzaga if they beat Prairie View in that first round in Spokane. And then obviously that Kansas City loss on Saturday hurt them. But, Utah Valley, they're already getting looks, and the WAC is getting looks. And I know, the New Mexico State fans out there always tell you it's because of them and all that stuff, but the fact that Utah Valley just after one conference game was already getting some looks in there, that it's got to be a pretty positive sign for them in the conference.
Well, here's the good and bad news. Okay, so the good news is, the conference, somebody else is getting a look besides New Mexico State, and it's good for Utah Valley to get some kind of a little bit of attention that way. But on the bad side of it, usually those bracketology things that ESPN puts out, whether it's Andy Katz or Joe Lunardi, they're based on who's in first place in the WAC at the time that they put them out. Because Utah Valley was 1-0 and I guess had the nod over Kansas City, that's why Utah Valley was in there. The second, thing is, it's just New Mexico State's going to be that team that'll be there at the end. I mean, Kansas City's looked good, but New Mexico State, I mean, it's theirs to lose. Let's put it that way. After what they did at California Baptist on Saturday night, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's just, and I think that maybe when somebody from the Utah Valley Wolverines social media tweeted out about the bracketology and having Utah Valley in there, maybe the Utah Valley players paid a little too much attention to that, and that played into that slow start mentality where they, thought they could push by Kansas City. Sometimes reading headlines can get to players and, mess with the mindset and the focus. So it might have been good to see that, for everyone, but also on the other side of it, there's some bad drawbacks to it too, possibly. So, it's good and bad. Let's put it that way.
Well, as we stand so far after the first weekend of conference play, taking a look overall at the Western Athletic Conference standings, UMKC, or Kansas City, sits atop 2-0. New Mexico State right behind them, 1-0. Cal State University Bakersfield right behind them, 1-0. So those are your top three teams. And then California Baptist at 1-1, Utah Valley 1-1, Seattle U 1-1, and then Grand Canyon, UTRGV, and Chicago State rounding it out at the bottom with Grand Canyon, UTRGV at 0-1, with Chicago State at 0-2. Now, you mentioned it's pretty much New Mexico State's to lose. I know they were plagued with lots of injuries and storylines heading into this season, but now we've reached the point of the season, Kyle, where those injuries are starting to heal up. And New Mexico State's going to start to get those players back that they missed at the beginning of the year in really perfect stride in conference play.
Well, so it's funny you mentioned that. Like you said, when they went into California Baptist, supposedly everybody was healthy on that team. Come to find out, before the WAC opener for the Aggies, Clayton Henry is out for the season with a wrist injury. And then A.J. Harris, who just came back from thumb surgery, he sustained an injury. He was actually on crutches, in the second half. So those are two guys they were hoping to have back fully, but now they're injured again. And so that might play into things. But, they got this UTEP transfer, Evan Gilliard, who, when he played the one position, the point guard position on Saturday night, was dynamite in getting the ball to his playmakers, Traveling Queen, Johnny McCants, and so forth. So they have a good group of guards to fill in, but, losing Clayton Henry and possibly A.J. Harris now, we'll see. But even then, can you imagine that they lose those two guys and New Mexico State still scores, 50 points in the second half? And wins by 15 at California Baptist. So, that's how good New Mexico State is. It's really, the WAC is the Aggies to lose. If they're, Terrell Brown finally found his shot, hit 3 3-pointers against the Lancers on Saturday night, and he's been struggling all non-conference to find his shot. So, the struggle was real through the non-conference slate, but, nobody should be surprised that New Mexico State went in and beat California Baptist by 15 points on Saturday night.
Now switching gears, looking ahead for Utah Valley this weekend, they travel to Washington. It's the only game, on the plus side of things, it's the only game of the week for Utah Valley. So they really can take their time. They can rest up this week, try and get their legs underneath them, and get ready for that tough test where, historically speaking, Utah Valley has not fared very well up in Washington. So what are you expecting from that game against the Redhawks and the Wolverines on Saturday, Kyle?
It's a game of two teams with probably the shortest benches in the league. Seattle U really only plays about 6 players. Mark Pope plays, 7 or 8, but only 6 of those players really play significant minutes right now. From what we've seen the last 2, or at least what we saw on Saturday night against Kansas City, where there was only 6 players that played 15 minutes or more. So it's really the two teams with the shortest benches. And it's another one of those battles. Seattle guard Terrell Brown has been lights out. He's averaging nearly a triple-double this season. And then, you got Brandon Avert on the other side and TJ Washington. So that'll be fun to watch. Utah Valley has a little bit more size inside. But even then, Miles Carter against Iman Olojupoki, that inside battle will be fun to watch too. It's also a game of teams that shoot the 3 ball a lot. So that'll be, something to keep an eye on. But like you said, Utah Valley struggled in Seattle. I mean, they only got their first win in Seattle last year since they joined the WAC. So, actually, it might have been their second because they won in 2013-14, I believe, when they won the WAC regular season title. Yeah, they won it. That was the last time they won in Seattle before last year. So, 2 wins since 2013-14. And it's really a tough place to play because it's not a big it's not a big arena, and there's not a large crowd. So because they're not playing the Key Arena anymore, they're playing the Red Hawk Center up there in Seattle. So we'll see, and it may be whoever shoots the 3 ball the best wins the game. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Well, Kyle, as always, good stuff. And again, for those of you out there who are eager to press that panic button, and it's way too early to do so. It's only the first weekend, only 2 games underneath the belt. Lots of basketball to be played, lots of storylines to flush out. And we're just getting started in conference play. But, Kyle, thanks as always for the fantastic research and for the good chat.
All right. Thanks, Brent, for having me. And it should be another fun weekend of basketball.
Absolutely. Again, that was Kyle McDonald from WACHoopsDigest.com. You can follow him on social media, again, at Kyle Sports Bias, as well as at WACHoopsDigest on Twitter. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with Kazdan Jardine from the UVU men's basketball team right here on the UVU Coaches Show, presented by the UVU Alumni Association on ESPN 960.
Wolverine Crossing is Utah Valley's premier student housing. We provide the largest amenities in Utah, including 2 resort-style pools, 2 hot tubs, a 2-story gym, sand volleyball, basketball court, and so much more. Pick from our newly renovated 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom layouts. We know we have the perfect fit for you. Spots are filling fast. Come in today for a tour and find out why Wolverine Crossing is home for you.
Why does your business need Vivid Print today?
For banners, yard signs, NCR forms, business cards, promotional items.
Why will you need Vivid Print tomorrow?
For booklets, business card magnets, custom printed fabric items, trade show pop-ups.
And why Vivid Print in the future?
For letterhead, newsletters, flyers, stickers, window claims.
Vivid Print, promotional signs and graphics.
Hi, this is Jamie Barris with Vivid. If you can dream it, we can design and print it.
Go online to get-vivid.com and get ready for great service. And Vivid, print promotional signs and graphics.
Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here, as always, every Monday afternoon on ESPN 960. We've had a fantastic show so far. We've heard from Utah Valley men's basketball assistant coach Jared Jackson, heard from Kyle McDonald, and now it's our pleasure to hear from Kazan Jardine, one of the players on the team. And he is taking the time out of his very busy schedule to be with us. Kaz, man, thanks for taking the time, my man.
No problem, thanks.
So now, Kaz, you mentioned that travel is kind of a crazy schedule. So, Utah Valley, you guys have traveled quite a bit this season. So for those of us that are not with you guys, give us like a little breakdown of how the travel works for you guys.
So honestly, like, it's pretty interesting when people are always like, it's so cool that you guys get to travel all around and see all these places. But in all honesty, it's more of a business trip than anything. We fly out early in the morning and we get to wherever our destination is, and then from there we'll get like an hour at the hotel. Then it's straight to shoot around and then film, and we'll get a good solid dinner that night, and then it's hang in the hotel room for a little bit and you're asleep so you can get some good rest for the next day. And then honestly from there it's game day, which is the same whether you're at home or away. It's film, game day practice, pregame meal, and then game time. And then a quick turnaround, you fly home. So we don't really get to go see the sights. We don't get to go try all the good food places, but, that's basically our travel in a nutshell.
Your favorite away place to play in?
Oh, Kentucky was incredible. That was atmosphere that you dream of playing in your whole life. It was loud. Multiple times you couldn't hear yourself think. All the fans are yelling at you. That was a cool experience.
Now, you have been with the team when they traveled and played at Grand Canyon. So how does Kentucky and Rupp Arena compare to Grand Canyon?
So I actually have never been to Grand Canyon.
Oh, okay.
Red shirt, and us red shirts, we didn't travel because we were transfer red. We were ineligible until, this year. So I've never been to GCU, but I'm super excited about it for this year.
I stand corrected. Well, yeah, they always, on social media, they're always posting all these videos and saying how crazy the atmosphere is. But definitely when you go into one of the hallowed houses of college football, college basketball history and everything like Rupp Arena, it's a totally different vibe than any other place for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Kaz, for those, again, that don't know, you are from Idaho, and in our little full court press segment, you did talk about how your favorite potato was a sweet potato, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I need to follow up with you, and is there any way that I can Venmo somebody in your family to get me some sweet potato, like tater tots?
See, I've never had sweet potato tater tots, so I don't know. I don't know if I could get you those. The craziest thing I've had is sweet potato curly fries, but that was only in Boise, so I don't think I can get you those.
Dang, man! Is this something like a myth that I heard somewhere that I was led astray by somebody?
Might have been. I'm no potato connoisseur. I just like a good fry, but yeah.
I hear you. So, as you do travel and as you have been traveling, is there like an assigned teammate of yours that travels with you every single place, or that you bunk with, or how does that work?
Yeah, Isaiah White's my roommate, so we are road roomies, and we're also home roomies. We live together in Orem as well, so we get to know each other pretty well.
So what's your funniest Isaiah White story?
Shoot. Honestly, I don't. Zay and I have a lot of good times. We find ourselves laughing a lot. I don't think I have a specific one. Probably just times where we play 2K and he beats me and I throw a controller, or I beat him and he rage quits. Just those good times.
Who's the best 2K player on the team?
Rumor has it that TJ's the best at 2K. That's what rumor has it, but I've never played it. I'd rather play something else, but that's what the rumor is.
Now, if you were to get the coaches together and have the controller with 2K, in your opinion, out of all the coaches, who would be the best one?
The best one or the most comical to watch?
We'll go with both. We'll start with the best.
The best, I'd probably say Coach Jackson. I've heard him talk a time or two about 2K. I don't really know for sure. But most comical, I would love to see Coach Madsen on the sticks. I think that would be pretty comical.
In your honest opinion, do you think he's ever played a video game before?
Honestly, I can't tell you yes or no, but I wouldn't be surprised if he never had.
Yeah.
His focus is just on another level of, not wasting time and things like that. So.
What was your first impression of Coach Madsen?
That I couldn't believe he was my coach because he was such a nice, genuine guy. Like, I just didn't understand how, you get the typical thought of a college basketball coach. You think of yelling all the time, ripping people apart, all types of words, this and that, but he definitely did not fill those shoes. He was, he's been the utmost respectful and just respectful. And I guess that's the perfect word is he's respectful all the time. He gets on people, but in a positive way. And, that's just his style.
What's one thing that you've learned from watching or from being with Coach Madsen so far?
One thing that really sticks out. Honestly, I would say the positivity thing. I myself am someone who's super critical, who's super, realistic. So I find myself being overly critical at times and being negative, on myself. But, Coach Madsen's been really good about helping guys keep confidence, grow confidence, and thrive in regards to the mental aspect of the game. So that's something that I've learned from him is just staying positive, seeing the things that we can grow on, seeing the things we can do better on. And yeah, that's what I'd have to say for that.
Now, with first-year head coaches, obviously there are some growing pains, especially with how many new faces joined you guys on this team. But having a coach like Coach Madsen and the guys around him with your assistants there, they definitely make it easier to root for them and easier to play for them. Am I right?
Yeah.
Has it been a very tough transition for you guys?
I'd say the transition is ongoing. I would say that if it was any new head coach, I don't think that anyone would say any transition is easy, but it hasn't been one that has been over the top hard or too difficult to handle. It's just very different. It's a different coaching style. It's a different atmosphere than I've ever been a part of. So.
And why did you choose to come to Utah Valley?
I chose to come to Utah Valley because I was sold on Coach Pope and his coaching staff. That's why I came to Utah Valley. I didn't have a good experience at Boise State, and I wanted to come to a place where I'd play and where I knew that I would be used and I would get better. And so I thoroughly bought into that with Coach Pope and his staff, and so that's what landed me here at UVU. That's why I came to Orem.
Now, I know before the season started, there was a quote from you in one of the newspapers or a magazine that talked about how with everything that went down over the offseason, that you and several players kind of had a chip on your shoulder and you really had something to prove this season. Do you still feel that is the case?
I think that anyone who comes to UVU, aside from that point, has a chip on their shoulder. Because anyone who comes to UVU is coming here because they want to play, they want to get better, they want to be used, they want to be an asset. So anyone who comes to UVU has probably been overlooked, has probably been, underappreciated. So I would say that is always something that we have. We always have that chip on our shoulder. But I think that, especially at the beginning of the year, when we were just getting into practices and it really hit home that, like, holy cow, we have a whole new coaching staff. I think that was amplified for sure. And as the year has gone on, I think that we've, the majority of us have held on to that chip and tried to play with that every game that we play. And that's just something that I feel like has helped me personally to be consistent throughout the season and to play hard and to shoot the ball well is playing with the chip on my shoulder regardless of who we're playing, whatever the game situation may be.
How do the Wolverines get better, Kasdan?
Say that again.
How do the Wolverines get better, and how do they keep improving?
For us to get better, we have to play as a team, period. I feel like we still have all the potential in the world, and all of us have the highest of expectations, but that's only going to happen if we play together. And that means, and I think that's defensively even more than on the offensive end, because if we want to be great, we've got to come together. We have to glue each other together. We got to be that team that is tough to play because we play so well together on the defensive end. Because I can guarantee you that if we can do that, the offensive end will take care of itself. We'll play together on the offensive end, and things will just flow. And you'll see a Wolverines team really take off. But I think that's something that is crucial that we have to all buy into. And if we do, I think we could really, really still prove something this year.
Well, Kaz, we know you're a busy man. Thank you again for taking the time. We'll let you go with just this last question here. With school starting back up, what are your classes looking like?
So I took advantage of my redshirt year last year and kind of killed myself because I wasn't traveling. So I took 18 credits first semester and then 18 credits last semester of last year. And so this year has been a lot lighter for me. So I graduate in May, and I've only got a couple classes left to graduation. So I'll be able to focus even more on basketball for this semester, and I'm super excited about that and looking forward to it.
Well, fantastic, man. Well, good luck getting back in school and having a couple extra days left of practice at home before traveling out there to Seattle on Saturday.
Oh, for sure. And honestly, super excited about not having a ton of classes because I just got engaged, get to spend more time with the girl.
Oh, and what? Congratulations, man.
Yeah. I'm in the car talking to you, and my fiance is over here waving her ring at me like, you better mention me. You better mention me.
Well, put your fiance on the phone real quick. What's her name?
Oh, her name is Savvy Sorensen. Here she is.
Hello.
Hello, Savvy. This is Brandon. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great, but not as good as you. Congratulations with the fantastic news.
Thank you so much. We're so excited.
So what's your favorite attribute about Kasdan?
Uh-oh.
He does so good answering these questions. I just think he has a really great head on his shoulder, and he's always really positive no matter, how the game turns out, win or lose. He's always got an I love you for me at the end of the game, which I think is awesome.
Oh, congratulations, Kasdan. Good man. Now, Sabby, real quick. Now, do you play any sports or anything at UVU at all?
Yeah, so I'm actually a cheerleader for UVU, so I get to watch a lot of the games, and we don't travel with the team, but I will be going to the WAC tournament, so I am also a proud Wolverine.
Fantastic. Now, have you tried to teach Kasdan any moves so he can know how hard it is what you do?
So Kasdan's pretty talented. He already has a back tuck, which
Wow.
I think is really impressive because he's pretty tall. So to get his large body to flip, I think is pretty cool. But he is working on his tosses. He's got me to hands, which is about holding me standing at his shoulders. We're trying to get it above his head, but we're not quite there yet. He's terrifying.
Well, Sabby, you've been a great sport answering some questions, but congratulations in all seriousness to you guys. That's great news.
Thank you so much.
All right, Kasdan, thank you again, my man. You take care of that wonderful lady, and we'll be chatting with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, that was Kasdan Jardine and his fiance, Sabby Sorensen, joining us here on ESPN 960, and that'll do it for us.